We now turn our attention to the ongoing Kevin Durant watch. Durant still wants to be traded, and among the teams on his wish list is the Miami Heat. Well, it appears the feeling is mutual from those down in South Beach. The Miami Herald's Barry Jackson added this on Monday. Heat GM Andy Ellisberg and Nets GM Sean Marks were seen talking this morning in Las Vegas. Per sources, Heat continues its pursuit of Kevin Durant. We now have our front office insider, Bobby Marks, joining us. Thank you so much, Bobby. Bobby, as it stands right now, what is the biggest stumbling block to a trade that would move Kevin Durant to Miami?
Well, I think certainly it's probably Bam Adebayo here, because we know about the designated rookie extension rule where you can't have two players acquired in a trade. Brooklyn already has Ben Simmons, and when you add Adebayo to that, that would be two, and you exceed the limit here. So it would mean either finding a third team for Simmons, finding a third team for Adebayo, and then I think once you take Adebayo out of the mix, what is left of that Heat roster? If it's not going to be Jimmy Butler, you're basically looking at a package of Kyle Lowry, Tyler Hero, Duncan Robinson. They can trade 3 first-round picks, and is that good enough right now? And could that package be there when we get to November or December here? So I wouldn't rule out Miami, certainly one of the most creative front offices in there, but I think the Adebayo situation with Simmons kind of complicates things right now.
Absolutely, and the more we talk about these potential trades, the more it seems like there's no true natural dancing partner for the Nets to make a one-to-one trade. Do you see a scenario in which season starts, Kevin Durant is still on the Nets roster?
I think we should brace ourselves that when we get to the end of September that Kevin Durant could be on the Nets roster here, because I just don't see a perfect trade partner for the Nets right now. Certainly we can talk about Phoenix or Toronto. I think those deals could be there when we get to November and December here. And I think from Brooklyn's perspective, remember, they've traded out all their first-round picks to Houston as far as that James Harden trade, and there's no incentive for them to kind of hit rock bottom and just build with draft picks here. And as I said, there's no perfect trade partner out there. And I've always said, once you get to the season, teams hit a little bit of adversity. You lose 4 or 5 games in a row. You get a little bit of pressure from your ownership. That price tag for Durant will likely increase compared to where it is right now.
That's interesting. Now, we keep talking about this designated rookie extension rule. Yeah. And is there a way? Oh, no, can't get Bam there because of the rule. And you can't sign a trade with Ayton because of the rule. Is there a scenario in which Ben Simmons actually gets moved to make room for that to avoid breaking that rule?
I think it becomes a little bit of a challenge. You know, he has 3 years left. And I think if it was last year, yeah, possibly. But I think when you're coming off that back surgery and he hasn't played in over a year, I think you're basically probably getting rid of him there. And I think he still has value on the court. But I think the big if is, when we see him on the court as far as from a playing standpoint, and that's probably not going to happen until we get to training camp, we get to the regular season here. So the value of Ben Simmons where it was 2 years ago is just not where it is right now.
That's a good point. Now, we spend so much time talking about KD, justifiably. However, there's still Kyrie Irving. What's going on between Kyrie Irving and the Nets, and how could that situation have an impact throughout the league?
That's what I'm more intrigued about, right? We haven't really heard as much about Kyrie Irving. Certainly, we've heard him linked to the Lakers here. The market for him is just not there as far as a player, an all-star, but on an expiring contract here. The Lakers are interesting because, remember, August 4th is the first day that LeBron James can sign a 2-year, $97 million extension to remain with the Lakers here. What happens if there's no Kyrie Irving trade by when we get there? Will James kind of wait to see if the Lakers were willing to add maybe draft picks to a trade, a Russell Westbrook trade? Will he hold off? Is that something to kind of follow during the course of the season here? Does James become an unrestricted free agent next year? So I think August 4th we can circle as far as what's going to happen, as far as what James is going to do.
Really interesting date in the NBA calendar, August 4th. Well, Scottie Pippen was asked his thoughts about the Kevin Durant situation and all other players changing teams for a better situation, and here is what he had to say.
I'm fair with it, to be honest. I kind of like how the players have the freedom to change, and it's what the owners have been doing to players for years. So they've just evened the playing field to me. I don't feel bad for what KD is doing at all. I think it's a great move for him. You move as much as you want in today's game. It's like, to me, playing pickup basketball. you get started playing with Eddie Johnson over here and he's shooting too much, then go back over there and play with Michael Jordan.
I love it. He's like, hey, it's like pickup basketball. You don't want to play with somebody, don't play with them anymore. What's the problem? However, something tells me that owners don't feel the same way. Is there a situation from the past that you can remember that the owners not really okay with?
Yeah, I mean, I think Ben Simmons last year. I think there's a difference of a player asking to be traded and doesn't show up for training camp or the start of the season like Simmons did last year compared to the Durant situation right now. Remember, Brooklyn is going to get something for Kevin Durant at the end of the day. Boston did not get anything for Kyrie Irving a few years ago when Irving basically said he was going to resign, played out the season, and then wind up signing with the Nets. So as long as a team is going to recoup as far as draft assets and players, I think ownership should be fine with it. But I think the Simmons situation certainly stands out when a player under contract asks to be traded and does not show up for training camp.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.